So, I'm going to briefly talk about the forms of contamination. This is a little deeper lesson in our Serve Safe chapter here, and we're going to specifically focus on biological contamination. And I do apologize. I am still a little hoarse from having some bad allergies. So, we know that contamination happens when there are harmful substances or hazards. Sometimes this can be on purpose, but most of the time, this is through accident. So these things come from animals, air, water, and dirt. They're most commonly transferred from people to people. People sneeze or vomit, or they don't wash their hands, or they touch food contact surfaces and equipment, and then they touch the food. So, washing your hands and washing your surfaces, sanitizing your things, this is how you prevent bacterial contamination. So, we talk a lot when we talk about the biological contamination, we are talking about little microorganisms. So, these are small living organisms. You cannot see them. We have these types of organisms all over the world in all of the environments. They live on us, they live in us. And a lot of these are harmless and they actually can be helpful, but sometimes they can make you sick. So the right pathogen can cause you a lot of distress. So when we talk about microorganisms that are harmful to us, we are talking about pathogens. And we've been using that term in class already. So the symptoms that these harmful ones give you are diarrhea, vomiting, fever, nausea, abdominal cramps, and certain ones can cause something called jaundice. And this is when your liver doesn't function correctly. So your liver does not filter out your body toxins, and it causes your skin and eyes to turn yellow. And this is usually a sign of a very, very contagious virus called hepatitis A. So, not every person is going to have the same symptoms. Not all of the symptoms are limited to this list. You can have other symptoms, but these are the most common ones. Also, you could get these symptoms within 30 minutes, or you could even get them weeks after you ingest the pathogen. And this can be just a short little bout of diarrhea that you don't know where it came from, a little bit of cramping. You could just vomit one time and then be done. And this could go all the way to death for certain people. So when we talk about bacteria, so we're talking about the first type. So there are actually 4 types of biological contaminants. Bacteria is the first. So this can be found almost anywhere. They live in our bodies. Sometimes these are healthy bacteria. They cannot be seen, they cannot be smelled, and they cannot be tasted. Food that could make you sick could be made fresh, prepared today, and look and smell normal. When we talk about bacteria growing and surviving, you have to have bacteria are living just like you are. And so they have to be able to have the right things to live. We call these conditions Fat Tom. There's a specific little lesson that you have on Fat Tom that basically covers what each one of these are. But essentially, bacteria, just like you, it has to eat. It can't be too hot. It can't be too cold. Most of it breathes, and it has to have some moisture. It can't be totally dry, just like you. The only way that we can prevent bacteria from growing is to control the amount of time that it's in a temperature that it likes to grow. And in the Fat Tom lesson, we talk about and you've already kind of learned a little bit with the danger zone. So the danger zone is above 41 and above, and 135 and below. So cold food, cold, hot food, hot. Do not let food that is a temperature control food stay in that danger zone for more than 4 hours. So there are 3 types of bacteria that are really contagious, and these things cause illness. If you have this, you can never prepare food. The first one is salmonella. This only lives in human. A tiny little amount can make you sick. The severity of the symptoms depends on the health of the person, and it can actually live in your feces for weeks after the symptoms have ended. So the foods that commonly spread salmonella are ready-to-eat foods, and this is particularly when food handlers do not control their hand hygiene. It can be spread through beverages, and most commonly raw or undercooked eggs and poultry. You should not eat raw eggs. You should not eat things like cookie dough that contains raw eggs. And I have students tell me all the time, oh, I do it all the time. I'm fine. That may just mean that you've never gotten the egg that has a salmonella. One day, you might put egg into your raw cookie dough and it contains this bacteria and you get really sick. So I don't care if you've eaten it 1,000 times in your life, it could be 1,001 that puts you down. And if you are one of the people that are more likely to die from a foodborne illness or get really sick, if you're one of the 4, then you need to make sure that you are really watching that you're not eating the cookie dough. So make sure you wash your hands and make sure that you are eating food that is cooked.